Matt, it's a footballing cliche, a game of two halves.
Yep.
But have we just witnessed one there?
I think so. Dominant first half, deservedly in front, and it just takes one moment to change the dimensions of a football game. Gave a ball away cheaply, one long ball which we didn't deal with well enough in terms of Tom stepping in, and then Brennan backtracking gives away a penalty. So it changed pretty quickly, and then all of a sudden Port Vale got a head up steam, played on the front foot, and we just didn't quite manage that 15-20 minute period well enough. And they scored 2 goals and put us under severe pressure, and we just couldn't gain any control for a small amount of time. We finished the game strongly, but you know that's always a difficult thing to do when you're chasing 2 goals.
You picked out a moment there where the game potentially turned with the giving away leading up to the penalty.
Yeah.
There were others as well. There's the Ryan Bowman disallowed goal at 1-1. There's having one cleared off the line shortly after the break as well. All moments to where this game could have turned.
Without a doubt. But sometimes they go in, sometimes they don't go in. I just felt there was a couple of poor older habits just came to show in that 20-minute period. We didn't have any real direction, and as much as we tried to show things up from our point of view, we just somehow needed to get hold of the ball. And sometimes you can get hold of the ball by using the ball, making passes, or put it in an area which means it doesn't come straight back in the middle of the pitch and then gets shifted out wide. So a little bit of naivety in that spell. I actually felt some of our younger players really stood up. Archie Collins and Jaden Richardson were the ones who I felt were driving that team on towards the end. So, like I say, a couple of old habits we need to readdress. But we've been on a fantastic run. The players are giving me everything they possibly can. We just didn't quite box clever enough for that 20-minute spell. Do
you put this down then to a bad night at the office?
Well, no, because you look at large parts of that performance and we went a million miles away. That's the frustrating part of it. Like I say, football is an incredible game. We could have gone 2-0 up or 2-1 up and so on and so forth, and they scored 3 good goals from their point of view, poor goals from our point of view, and I've not been able to say that too often this season, certainly not in the last month, but at times we've ridden our luck in terms of our defending. So we've got to sometimes hold our hands up and say we couldn't quite deal with Port Vale's intensity in their game for that period.
Yeah, I don't know what it was that maybe John Askey said to his team at half-time, but the crowd got behind Port Vale in the second half and it seemed to give them
but it just changed off that moment. We actually started the second half pretty well, had those chances, so you know that doesn't happen, and the game looks totally different. But football, sometimes that does happen. It's once that happens, how do you just steady yourself, take a deep breath, understand what the game needs. They were trying their hardest, just not in the right value areas. It sounds crazy to say because you want your players to try as hard as they possibly can, but just have some sort of structure to it. And the shape we had meant that if we lost a little bit of structure and not discipline but use of the ball, it meant we were open at times, and then they did threaten our space. But like I say, some of those players really stood up for me tonight, which I was pleased with. We'll have to dust ourselves down and get back on the road, a long journey back tonight, and then get ready for Saturday.
You've been on a terrific run, like you say. Time now to go on another one.
Yeah, definitely. And like I've just touched on it there. I know where we are as a team. I know during this run we've ridden our luck at times, and we've won a lot of games by fine margins. We speak about those fine margins, and we were on the wrong end of that tonight. And you saw what happened when one goal went in against us, and they raised their game, and the crowd was behind them. And like I said, we just didn't quite know how to manage it. And maybe that's from not having conceded recently. It sort of hit us for 6, I suppose. So that's a disappointing factor. But like I say, I can't be too critical of my players overall tonight. Critical for a 20-minute spell, but they'll learn off the back of that, and we'll come back.
Nicky Law was on the bench and Randall Williams was on the bench. Was that just down to the amount of games played recently?
To a certain extent. Both players I felt have just been lacking a little bit of end product and energy in the month of January, and 3 games in a week is a big ask for them. They had the opportunity to come and affect the game tonight, and they did it towards the end, but only we needed them in the middle of that spell. Like I say, I was pleasantly surprised by some of those young boys tonight. Archie Collins driving through space, and Jaden Richardson had another positive performance. It's hard to criticise the whole group, but at those moments then you're looking for some real direction on the pitch, and we didn't seem to have that for that short period of time. Randall should be fresher for the weekend, Nicky should be fresher for the weekend, but even when we went 3-1 down, you felt if we could get one back, then the opportunity's there. And did we take the wrong option at times in attacking third to the end? You start taking risks because you're chasing the game, but like I say, we'll be back from it.
A little bit of consolation, Swindon lost tonight as well. still up there. It's going to go right to the wire.
Yeah, of course it is. And it's not us and Swindon, believe me. It's us and 12 other teams, and then Port Vale are one of those teams. I think they've got a strong home record, and you really saw that in that second half. Look, I was so pleased with the first half performance. So pleased. We were in almost total control, and then you start the second half like that. But football changes in moments, and if there's ever a learning time for some of our players this evening, it was that 20-minute spell. But full credit to Port Vale.